Hey everyone, how are you doing? What's going on, lunatic? Good to see you. Good emote. All right. Hope you're doing all right. Okay. So last time, let me turn this music down a little bit. That's a lot of it. That's good. All right. Last time, we left off working on magic systems. I think we got pretty far. I think the magic system is doing okay. I did, after the stream, go ahead and finish up all of the other weapons. I guess prior to this stream. So all of the weapons are now have the right things and I can cast all my spells again. I think they're pretty good. It's all predictable, right? Which is good. There's a couple things like those little particles go for a little bit too long because it waits until those are done. But the problem is if I that's kind of what's pacing the switch to the other player. So I don't necessarily want to make it shorter. For example, if I'm doing something like ice here, I don't really want it to be shorter. I want to cast ice, and I want ice to hang out long enough to get the impact, but it is a little bit long, so I'll think about that. That's something that's easily kind of tweakable, so I'm not too worried about it right now. I obviously have a bunch of bugs here, but I'll work out the bugs as we go. The code is much more manageable for magic, so I'm ultimately very happy with it. So not too terrible here. Everything's looking decent. With that, I think what I'm going to do, so I have this system that essentially lets me, there's one, I guess, before I get to that, there is one little thing I want to do, and that's essentially develop this, or figure out what the issue is with my attacking spells. Because essentially right now when I use like explosion mark, I end up in a case where my little box thing goes all over the screen. I have no idea why. Oh, I'm attacking with the wrong weapon here. It's all right. So I'm gonna work on that first, I think, just because that needs to work. Pretty soon. I really want to before Christmas have a playtest, and I think I'm close. I mean, it's playable right now, right? But it's fun. It's fun to come figure out and generate weapons, and kind of see what you get. But I need a couple things. I need like a screen that pops up and tells you what you unlocked so you can see that. Maybe even with a preview of it. And then I need this preview screen over here to just be a lot better. I think this preview screen, you'd essentially be able to have a picture of it and everything else. Cool. I think it actually is using Vulkan right now. But I can probably not a big deal. I will probably end up building for compatibility. I don't have anything that's too graphics intensive, so I will probably do whatever's most compatible. And I'm using like the Godot shader language, so everything should convert reasonably. Nothing's directly using DirectX 12, I don't think. So should be okay there. So yeah. So things I want to do today. Today I want to fix my attack magic, and kind of what I'll buy a sword so I can show you what I mean by that. Want to fix my attack magic. Want to make this little weapon screen better. I probably want to be able to cycle through, like instead of just having all the weapons, I want to arrange them by type, right? Because that would just be a lot cleaner and a lot easier to go. And then I want a little preview with the picture and all the stats. I'm picturing something probably simple, like I'm really starting to model this after like Diablo 2, right? I think you can have a simple picture with the stats, make it super simple, and have something decent there. And then whenever you win, I think I want it to show, oops, did I switch weapons? It's fine. Okay. When you win, I want it to show that new weapon you got. So that's it. And those weapons, I think the way I have it right now, I got to think about this, but the way I have it right now, even though this is kind of like a roguelike, you would keep titles and weapons. They would persist through playthroughs. So like right now, all those weapons are from prior runs, and you just kind of keep them. You wouldn't like keep them as owned, but you keep them available so you could buy them. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. I'm kind of going back and forth because while that's nice and everything, because if you like unlock a really cool weapon, I need like some incentive to clear your inventory. That's the only thing. So maybe you can sell the rights to buy them or something for extra gold. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Yeah, that's the only thing is it's hard to get hits in here. I'm probably gonna die. Oh, interesting. That was weird. Huh. So if I'm... Okay. That's all right. We'll see. What I'm going to do here, I think, is I'll cast Haste first, which I think will let me cast this first. Because I want to show this problem first, so you kind of know what the problem is that I'm dealing with. All right. So casting Haste first should give me a little more speed, and hopefully it'll let me... Oh my gosh, I'm not waiting. Okay, hold up. Something broke. Oh, something's clearly broken here. My debugger is broken. Okay, I'm going to assume this is just like a one-off error. This has been running a while. I've got 108,000 errors. I'm going to assume they're not urgent things I need to fix. Huh, interesting. Interesting. Hopefully that's not a problem. I think I was changing some code, hot swapping code, so that's probably why. Sometimes that crashes some things. Very strange. But yeah, let me walk through what the problem is here. Yeah, it'll clear here in a second. It'll clear automatically whenever when it runs. Yeah, we're just gonna ignore those. At least I thought it would. But it has not yet. Oh, yeah, it's just loading here. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it wasn't anything major here. I'm in 4.3, but I do feel like, actually I feel like 4.2 was a little more stable. But it was around longer. So I'm hoping with some fixes, 4.3 becomes the better one here. All right. So I've got to try to get behind her so I can use my explosion shot. I also changed the way the camera behaves a little bit, and I'm not sure I like it. It drops down to like floor level when you're going here, so it doesn't modify with the terrain. But whenever you're on your character, it goes like above the character a little bit. I need to work on that. I don't really like that. Like that is super annoying. So that's all easily fixable though. There's just a few variables I can mess around with to change that. All right, let's see if this works. So you see how the square like circled in from over here? It gets wild, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. The code that triggers between attacking and doing that is actually the same. It ends up at the same like cycle, which is not a very good function. Like I really don't like this function. And I already have the bug kind of written here. For magic, the square goes all over the screen. If this is really simple, so the way this works is I send a signal when I get here to turn the hitbox on. So the hitbox, like the code for the hitbox, incredibly simple. I have my hitbox target, which basically just becomes visible or not visible based on hitbox on. So it's display. I have the size. When this gets resized, it just recenters it. That way if you move the screen, it recenters. And then I have when you're complete, hide the box. As far as the target box here, this is the one that spins. Oh, you know what? This shouldn't matter, but it might be as simple as this. Just moving the preset to the middle because I'm changing the size. Again, this shouldn't matter. But maybe that's it. Okay. We might have just solved the problem. If I'm changing the size or if I'm centering it and then changing the size, like that could for sure cause issues. But I'm not sure why it works in attack and not in magic. Pretty weird. Might just be the state of something. Huh, kind of strange. Sorry, I'm getting Teams messages. It's too late for Teams messages. Okay. Let's see. It's one of the kind of weird things about working. So most people I work with are in Seattle, right? And I usually work on Seattle time, which means I get off work pretty late. It's a little bit weird because like I start my day like a little bit earlier. Hopefully you can't hear it then if you're getting PTSD from it. I start my day a little bit earlier, but I typically work on Seattle time, so like I get off fairly late. But like what's like midnight for me, for example, is like 10 p.m., which is late, but it's not too bad. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But no, personally, I kind of like the notification sound for Teams for some reason. Yeah, luckily my phone just vibrates. I don't have notification sounds on my phone. All right, let's see if this fixes this. But yeah, I hear you. I don't use it for anything personal, so. Oh, interesting. That was weird. Yeah, I get it. When I worked for Boeing, I worked with a lot of teams in India, Poland, and it would be like that. Okay, I think what's happening is maybe I'm not resetting the size for some reason in spells. Because that worked. That stayed in the center for sure. Except new size didn't get reset. Which is strange. Again, same exact function. So here I send adjusted hit chance. Okay, a couple things here. Hit chance. How is hit chance calculated? Hit chance equals calculate chance to hit. Character and stored target. Okay. This should be new size, so it's not hitbox on or hitbox border. What is the thing here? It's on resize, which is hitbox size. So the size looked okay. Okay, hitbox size right here. Hit target. Times 2 minus I. So hit target is 100, I think. Where do I calculate hit target at? Let's hit target value. Interesting. Where do I use that? That's interesting. Okay, so it's hit target value. Oh, that's the value when I trigger it. It saves that value. Okay, so yeah, my hit target's just locked in at 100, which is fine. So that's 100. Am I not resetting I? I do reset I right there for every attack. I wonder if I'm not. Wonder if my wait for animation's not triggering. No, it should be. Because it's going back to the top. I don't like how I do this either, the wait for animation thing. Essentially what happens is it's waiting until I get back to the run state because the the animation tree like goes through everything, right? Again, I don't like how I do this. I really should send a signal at the end to say I'm done to kick me out of this. But essentially waits until the next animation, and depending on what animation it goes into, depends on where it takes me, if that makes sense. Which I'm not thrilled about, but it's okay for now. Okay. So I'm in the yes, I'm looping state, which I think is just waiting on the weapon to, or the spell to finish. Which is fine. Okay. Yeah, it was looping like that whole time. Okay, this explosion mark. Yeah, it's because it's setting that. I probably don't need that yes, you're looping print anymore. Okay. Yeah, the only weird thing is here. I plus equals quick time speed. But why would the box be going backwards? To me, this code looks fairly simple for hitboxes. There's no reason it should do anything weird. I guess print I mean, that's the easy way to do this, right? Print I and see if I is behaving as intended. Let me get rid of the yes, you're looping. I think I had one for India as well. Nope, I got rid of that one already. All right, let's try this again. And I'll watch I closely. All right. Yeah, killer. Sorry, I think you're probably gone now. But hey, good to see you, Francisco. Let me know if you're still here, though, and I'll answer your question. Sorry, I wasn't watching. My vertical chat goes to a completely different place. So it's interesting. You know, it's not as easy as the rest of my chats, which all get combined. All right. Yeah, the question was how do you troubleshoot, basically. And it's hard. I think troubleshooting, like, this is something I've noticed at work too, right? Troubleshooting is like a skill. It's really hard to teach, right? It's like you just got to think through the problem. And usually, like, in my head, I kind of say, okay, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And usually I try to start from one end or the other, just depending on what the problem is, and just walk my way through that. Like, if, for example, usually it's from the end back. So if, like, here, you know, like if I'm troubleshooting that little ball or getting into this state, I'll walk from when I cast magic backwards to say, okay, what triggers the magic? Now what triggers this state? What triggers that state? I'm going to set for attack to basically 0. Attack 0. And so it's a little bit challenging for sure to really get into like how to troubleshoot. But I think it's the same no matter what you're doing. Like troubleshooting rockets, you're troubleshooting cars, troubleshooting game code. I think the like troubleshooting skill is pretty much transferable between all of that. It's really interesting because like a lot of things, I at work, you know, I may not, like, I get called in for different things, right? Whatever. We're working on something as a team, trying to figure something out. And so I'll join their troubleshooting sessions. And I don't understand everything, right? I'm not like an expert in everything. But usually I can provide some insight, and like where I help, I think, is just walking through the problem and trying to understand what the next step is to go troubleshoot. And it is interesting that it's really kind of a rare skill, I think, troubleshooting. My dad was a mechanic. I think really helped me learn troubleshooting. But I don't think it's a very common skill. So weird. So you see how that's going backwards? So I can pause this really quickly. Let's go look at the I values there. See what was happening. I's are all over the place. Okay. These are all linear. Huh, interesting. Okay. I think I see what's happening. I think I'm running 2 loops of the same function at the same time. Like, this is all linear. This is fine, except if you notice here, right? Like, it's all doubled up. The only way that'd be doubled up is if I was running 2 of them. So I'm triggering the spell twice. And then from here, so this is another method, right, for troubleshooting. Just go look at the data. Here you can see I go from 210, right? And I go into the second attack. It never stops. It just keeps counting up. So I have 2 instances of this running for some reason. One of them has the right data to progress and one doesn't. So what I should do is say, hey, where do I trigger this attack, this spell? And you can see explosion mark here. It's all twice. Where do I trigger this spell? So I can go back to the start of it. Okay, so I've made it, got triggered twice. I can see where I am triggering the spell at the beginning to make that not happen. Interesting. Okay, so here's where I was moving, or the enemy was moving. Here I'm casting magic. Switch action set to combo control, so I only enter the state once. But here you see how it says element 1, element 1? That means all the way back here, and it says trigger an attack. All the way back here. So what I can do is I can go look at where it reports the element and trigger an attack. And I can follow that back and maybe find where it's triggering twice. So in damage, okay? So here, the supply status is triggered twice. Okay. That's helpful. So then I can see where I go apply status. If it's twice. Let's see. Okay. This is interesting. So this... Okay, wait. And apply status. Oh, that's pretty interesting, actually. I have a function named the same as a Boolean. Does that even work? Okay, I'm going to change the function. Because I don't like them being the same. So I'll change this to instead of apply status, I'll say I just needed a thesaurus. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a good idea. Inflict status. That sounds good. Line 61. So there are 2 places this can happen. So I think it's worth looking at, is there ever a point like where I would run into both of these? And I think they happen in different ones. One happens in magic hit and one happens in regular hit. So no, I think in this case I wouldn't trigger both of them at the same time. Right? Or would I? Actually, potentially, because I am doing a physical attack when it's kind of showing up here. I think a good question, like a good question, would be, if I cast a regular spell, does it trigger twice? Let's test that. Oh, interesting. Okay. I guess actually, do I have any prints in here? I can just add a couple prints and I can say, I'll do it down here. Print magic hit. And then I'll do physical hit. And then I'll know. That'll tell me if I'm doing both. Physical hit. I'm expecting I'm just doing physical hits. Which means on hit is probably getting triggered twice. So let's keep backing up. So attacked target is probably getting synced twice. Because I am triggering attack. Okay, that makes sense. So if I go back to my attack, I'm just going to do a little looking before I get one more test in here. So if I do attack target, or is it attacked target? There's only one place this emits, and it's here. This is one long function. Yeah, this is confirm attack. Is this within the loop? Could I be attacking twice here? No, because we know the loop. Okay, yeah, actually we can go further back because we know the loop actually is triggering twice here. Okay, so it's back before this, which is good, which means confirm attack is triggering twice. So then let's figure out where confirm attack comes from. It comes from... interesting. Is it only here? No, because I'm never in that state with magic, so it must be from here. Confirm attack. Okay, so casting. Interesting. This is a little bit of spaghetti code. Interesting. Okay. Let's go to casting here. Casting magic. Okay. Do any of these go to confirm attack? No, just attack complete. What was the function? Oh, casting. Okay. Actually, let me check that real quick because I might be getting confused. Okay, confirm attack goes to this. Here, do I emit anything called confirm attack? No. So that's not right, actually. I need to go to attack.confirm attack. And it's not in here. So it's actually, I actually know it's in the damage. The damage one. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit just on what I know. Okay, so it goes to attacked. Okay, hold up. This here. Trigger attack. Okay, so let's go to trigger attack. Okay, yes, which is here. Yes, okay. So, which is here. So it's inflicts that. That is walk all the way back. Is there some sort of loop there that I'm catching? Okay. I think there is a little bit of a loop, but they're different status effects between like the magic. Like the magic basically triggers this using a status effect. And it's a different status effect than this. Let's run it real quick I want to make sure real quick that it's not some kind of physical versus magic hit type thing. I don't think it is, but you never know. I really got to break all this spaghetti code. It's just a big old plate of spaghetti. I got a little bit signal happy, I think. I think I was like, oh yeah, signals, that's great. And I really wasn't paying attention to like taking in data from one. I wasn't, I guess the one thing I like wasn't following very well was keeping all of my functions like self-contained, right? I was allowing a lot of functions to kind of go back and forth and talk to each other using signals, which it's okay. Like, yeah, they can talk to each other, but I think I could have done a lot better. Yeah, basically just creating signal chains back and forth rather than having like a central node that kind of controlled it. It's like I'm distributing the control of a specific function all over the place. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I'm gonna. Okay, good. I got lucky. Yeah, I don't think I did that very well. Which, like, it's not too late to go update some things, but. So yeah, okay. So now we can go look at that. Let's see what happened here. It is too late to apologize. It's too late. Too late. All right. So it was 2 magic hits. 4 magic hits? No, this is literally Waterloo cherry limeade, 0% sparkling water. Okay. So that's the earliest indication I have is it's on magic hit. Hey, you're not supposed to drink on the job, lunatic. How can I trust any of your QA tonight? You got to keep all this spaghetti code straight. It is almost a holiday. No, I get it. I get it. That's good. You've earned that mark to go ahead and buy your 100 proof and not get questioned about it. Yay. I think this is where it's coming from initially, is this attacking within magic. So let's see. Let's start with that signal, because that will directly do it. And that's here under trigger effects. So is trigger effects triggering twice? Okay. Right. Agree. What I really would like to do is create a system where almost everything is controlled by like my battle control up here, right? These state machines. And it calls on these nodes basically for data. I think that would work better, or for function calls, right? Basically for to do something, but all of the control is up here. That's what I would like to do. I'm not quite there yet. That's what I'd really like to do. Or in here, or for some reason, I guess, animation nodes. It's called a control for a reason. Agree. Not quite there yet. This was spaghetti code hacked together make something work, and then when it doesn't work, apply band-aids. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. No, I think I'm getting a lot better at coding, to be honest. It's been good. All right, so I think this is this. I can confirm that by just adding a print here that says like triggering effects. Yeah, they've come a long way. And check this out. Class name. Class name. No class name, but we're going to add one. Class name. We'll call it owned. Man, I agree. Like, once you start actually doing things the right way, like, it's so hard to go back. And then, like, I see my old stuff, even a couple months old stuff, and it's just, oh, it makes me cringe. It's so bad. But it's okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, I don't think, one thing is I don't think the animation's running twice. Current casting state is type. Where's current casting state? Oh, here's the good thing about this one. I'm not using it. So there you go. We're just removing lines of code. It's gone. Look at that. We're down to 19,007 lines of code. I've bounced around that 19,000 number. I did come down below it. I think when we ended the stream last time, I was at 18,999. And I've gained 8 more somehow. Got to get that number down. And it's gone. All right. So let's see if this triggers twice. I also need some fun ones. Like, one of the best parts I think of like Diablo 2, like getting weapons, are like seeing stats and effects that you've never seen before. Because that's just fun. I gotta think about a couple things like that, how to add those. What I want to add. Oh yeah, for sure, right. And I mean, this is obviously not like, I mean, this is not the RPG part of it, but it is fun. Exactly. And it's fun. Like, it's I've just messed around and I coded this, right? But it's still fun, like trying to get the hits. Okay, trying to get good weapons and things. And there's like a rarity system. So like some of my weapons I've generated, because they end up here, right? Like Sage's short sword of power. That's cool. And you can come down here. This is like an uncommon one. The Storm short sword of power, right, is also uncommon. Tidal Spear of Vitality is divine rarity. I have 10 different rarity levels. And they're all based on like the way this works. I actually like this a lot. So I have this weapon generation script. And so the way it does it is every possible like effect that you can roll has a rarity associated with it. For every effect, it runs through and it rolls a dice. Essentially, I mean, basically, it generates a random number, right? And if your number is greater than that, right, or less, I guess less than or equal to the rarity, right, it'll add it, and then it adds the rarity, the difference, the delta, I think from 10,000, maybe it's from 1,000. Trying to remember here. It's from 10,000. So it adds the delta to this sum, and then based on your full sum, it generates a rarity score. So if you like roll one of these top ones, like poison, burn, bleed, or attack range, because I mean attack range is pretty OP, because you can stay back further and still do damage, or speed, all very strong. If you roll any of these, you just have a super rare weapon, because those are very rare things. Or I guess any of these, right? So it's pretty cool. And then it adds a title. It adds a title based on the rarest one you get. So if you get a poison effect and like a luck, right? You'll get a venom. And then like for the luck one, your luck does come into play. So like the higher your luck, the lower score you have to roll. Or I guess not the lower score you have to roll. The fewer options. So like you roll between 1 and 10,000. But if you have 1,000 luck, you only roll between 1 and 9,000. So you essentially have a 10% better chance. It's not really a 10% better chance, but you have 10% fewer selections, right? And so it's fun. So I've got some accessories and stuff I added that just give you better luck. And it'll be fun because I'm sure people will make builds. People as in myself. will make builds just to deal with luck here, right? And drive that number up. It is pretty fun though. I do see something here. Adjusted target chance. I don't know what adjusted chance, I guess. Target chance is fine. Equals 10. We'll say max rarity minus character dot luck. Max rarity doesn't exist yet, does it? Oh, it does. Max. Am I using max rarity? Is that a constant? Oh shoot. Yeah, I'm using it somewhere else. So this should be like max. This should be like base luck. And I'm sure there's gonna be something I have to change around to balance, right? Now I can replace all of these with adjusted target chance. Cool. Sorry, I just saw those issues and thought that's terrible. So I wanted to go ahead and fix them. I don't like these nested ifs either. But it's not that bad. It's okay. All right. Anyway. Got a little sidetracked. Okay, so let's look at this. Except for the tone else. That one else. Let me find it. Talking about this? Or is it this elif? Not quite sure I'm following there. I probably could do something better than these nested ifs. What I probably should say is if... Hold up. Okay, sounds good. What I might do here is say, like, if this, then apply weapon stat. Yes. Apply weapon stat. Oh, the for loop? This one? Ah, that is worth changing. Because if I change the 10,000, because I'm trying to like actually balance some stuff, I'm gonna have a problem if that stays as 10,000. So, good catch, good catch. Cool. Yeah, so I think here what I would do is I would say around line 169. Oh, this one. On the 4. Does it support continue? I think so. Yeah. I see what you're saying. So you're saying, say, if not continue. Ah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, it's just a guard. Yes. Cool, that makes sense. And break afterwards. Okay, let me test this and just make sure it's working real quick. So yeah, essentially flip that. If I'm outside the luck range, just continue. It should go back to the for loop. Yeah, I do want to run through all of them. It needs to, because you can apply multiple stats. It basically just rolls for every stat. Some of the, I mean, those stats are honestly kind of rare. Like, you've got to roll pretty good to get most stats, except for like increased attack. So, like in most cases, you only are getting like 1 or 2 stats, unless you have like a really good roll. I've never had anything more than like 3 or 4, even with maxing my luck out. Well, not maxing it out, but making it super high. Oh, I left unarmed? That's okay. Cool. I do need to shorten that. I need to probably make that... Ooh, okay. Okay, good. Should be able to get this kill. Good. Okay. So I unlocked the Icy Spear of Shadows. Ooh, that sounds interesting. What's the Icy Spear of Shadows? Cool. I mean, that's a pretty rare one, actually. But I think that's normal. I don't think I actually changed anything. It's just attack evasion, ice, and water affinities. And this is like a level 1 weapon, which is why everything kind of sucks. Let's look at the rarity on it, though. I bet it was actually pretty rare. Icy, and then I should like change the something about it when it's more rare. So this was a divine weapon. Yeah, it was pretty rare. Nice. Okay. That looked pretty good, though. It didn't apply stats for everything, so that's what I wanted to make sure of. Cool. And let's see. Actually, I can probably do the same thing here. Right? I can say if stat name, if it's an affinity, right? Okay, so if it's an affinity, I want the prefix applied. So the way I could do this, I could say first just if titles applied, continue, right? Otherwise, this. And then I should say if prefix applied, continue. And then I can do this. Essentially if it's an affinity, go ahead and apply that. Cool. I think that works pretty well. Much easier to read there. Sweet. Feel pretty good about that. Okay, back to what I was dealing with here. I got so sidetracked. Let me try it again. I also need to clear all my extra things. In debugging, I've generated so many weapons. Yeah, I think part of it's too is I'm starting to recognize bad code, right? So like when I see my code, I know it's bad code and I can fix it quickly, which is super helpful. So I think it's like for a long time, I think I just wasn't like I didn't know a lot of the, I guess, paradigms or the standards. So it was let's throw things together and make it work. Um, but I'm learning a lot there about recognizing what good code looks like, and then I don't have to think about it as much. I think once you have standards, the nice thing is you don't have to think about it as much, right? When you have standards, which I guess is the like, for example, we're developing non-safety critical. We have some non-safety critical systems, right? We are not required in a non-safety critical system to follow a standard. However, we do. I think a big part of it, which I'm reinforcing here, is that it keeps you from having to think too hard. Otherwise, you've got to think, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do that? Which, okay, if you're dealing with professional software developers, right? Hopefully they've got kind of they've internalized these things. This is so hard to hit from the front. I need to increase my accuracy probably. It should not be this hard to get the first hit on. I ended up dying 6 health at a time. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's still doing the thing. Yeah, the only thing I disagree with, right? So standard, yeah, I agree. Standards essentially is you have a root cause corrective action, and then you go implement it in the standard, because that way nobody has to ever find your problem again. I think so. In aerospace, like we're required to follow standards in a lot of things, and a lot of those standards are based on like DO 178 or some other standard for processes, right? That tells you, hey, go develop a standard. This is what it looks like. The problem is, in a lot of those cases, you would never run into the same issue again. It was this one-off thing. So you have this big bloated process. I think like supplier management is one example where I've seen many times like people go take like the draft statement of work, right? Take that draft statement of work, you go through and you run into a problem. You're with a supplier and that supplier is not delivering. You say, hey, we didn't get certificates of conformance with this, right? How did we not put certificate of conformance in the STOW? Go add it to the standard statement of work. Fine, that one's good. However, there's a lot of like quality clauses and things that you might not necessarily need. So you go add all these things to the template and you end up with like a 200-page statement of work template that people are expected to go through and like clear stuff, when in reality, not like 90% of your procurement is going to need like a 10-page statement of work. But you've got to go through all this bloat. And so I think in like specifically in my experience with like large aerospace companies, you end up with like all of this work just sorting through stuff that doesn't make sense, or you just write the SOW and include it. The SOW is statement of work, right? Or you just write that SOW and include it. And so your supplier gets it and they're like, if I'm going to even read this 200-page statement of work, I'm bidding an extra $1 million, right? And I'm going to tell them, yeah, I've got to go standards with every problem you run into, but in a lot of cases it does help. Or having like some kind of, I don't know. I think it's so hard to like lesson learned databases to me are so useless most of the time, just because nobody's going to comb through like a lesson learned database, you know? There's definitely a balance. There's a balance. You've got to figure out what works, what doesn't. And you want to extract those lessons learned so nobody deals with the same mistakes that you made, right? But at the same time, you don't want to have to deal with that every time you try to do anything. You don't want to add so much bloat that you can't get anything done. I started dropping frames too. I think it was tired of me talking and saying wants me to just code. Yeah, I hear you. I think just if you have a 500-page standard, no one's going to read it, right? If no one reads it, you're not getting the benefit out of it. So it's got to be manageable. I think there's a fine line. It's a hard balance between a manageable standard and making sure you're not encountering problems that you've, quote, fixed, right? You definitely don't want to encounter the same problem over and over and over and over and over again in your company. At the same time, having a 500-page standard, nobody's going to read it and it won't work. So there's a fine line there. I'm not sure why I'm dropping frames. I'm fairly confident I'm running normal latency. Yeah, I'm running normal latency on YouTube. That's unfortunate. I've been doing good the last couple days. I might cut my